1 Kings chapter 16. All right, last chapter before we get into the life of Elijah. It's got to take us through a few more kings. I think there's like 4 we're going to cover today. We're going to get to this guy named Ahab. I'm just going to tell it like it is. He's an idiot. And he's one of the worst kings in all of Israel. You've probably heard of his wife. Her name was Jezebel. She was a wicked woman. I mean, you want to talk about problems? They got problems. So we're about to build up to them. We're going to cover a couple kings real quick historically, and then we're going to get into the life of Elijah, chapter 16. Then the word of the Lord came to Jehu, son of Hanani, concerning Baasha. I lifted you up from the dust, and I appointed you ruler over my people Israel. But you followed the ways of Jeroboam, and you caused my people Israel to sin and to arouse my anger by their sins. So I am about to wipe out Baasha and his house. I will make your house like that of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. Dogs will eat those belonging to Baasha who die in the city, and birds will feed on those who die in the country. He says, Baasha, dude, I told you, follow me. Don't follow Jeroboam. Don't follow the world. Follow the word. Baasha didn't choose wisely. Verse 5, as for the other events of Baasha's reign, what he did and his achievements, are they not written in the book of the annals of the king of Israel? Baasha rested with his ancestors and was buried in Tirzah, and Elah his son succeeded him as king. Moreover, the word of the Lord came through the prophet Jehu, son of Hanani, to Baasha and his house, because of all the evil he had done in the eyes of the Lord, arousing his anger by the things he did, becoming like the house of Jeroboam, and also because he destroyed it. Baasha was removed. Baasha's reign was not long. Baasha did not follow after God. Now Elah becomes king of Israel in the 26th year of in the 26th year of Asa, king of Judah. Elah, son of Baasha, became king of Israel, and he reigned in Tirzah 2 years. He also had a short term. I'm going to take a guess here and say he probably wasn't a good king either. Zimri, one of his officials who had command of half of his chariots, plotted against him. Oh, that's not good. Elah was in Tisra at the time, getting drunk in the home of Arza. Probably not a wise choice. The palace administrator of Tirzah. Zimri came in, struck him down, and killed him in the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah. Then he succeeded him as king. As soon as he began to reign and was seated on the throne, he killed off Baasha's whole family. He didn't spare a single male, whether relative or friend. So Zimri destroyed the whole family of Baasha, accordance with the word of the Lord that God had spoken against Baasha through the prophet Jehu, because of all the sins Baasha and his son Elah had committed, and caused Israel to commit as well, so that they aroused the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, by their worthless idols. It all came down to worshiping something other than God. Anything we worship other than God is worthless. At the end of the day, there's only one who's worthy of our worship. It's our Lord. And there's so many temptations that are out there for us to cling to. And we might say, well, I would never worship a golden calf. Yeah, well, you might worship your iPhone. You might worship a person on Instagram. You might not bow down to them or sing to them, but you worship them with your focus. You worship them with your attention. You worship them with your desire to be them. You elevate them in your heart above God. You value what they think and what they do more than you value what God thinks and he does. It's a form of worship. We have to be very careful not to follow after things in life that are worthless. Verse 15. We're going to talk about Zimri, king of Israel. In the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah, Zimri reigned in Tirzah 7 days. 7 days, wow, okay. The army was encamped near Gibbethon, a Philistine town. When the Israelites in the camp heard that Zimri had plotted against the king and murdered him, they proclaimed Omri, the commander of the army, king over Israel, that very day there in the camp. Then Omri and all the Israelites with him withdrew from Gibbethon and laid siege to Tirzah. When Zimri saw that the city was taken, he went into the citadel of the royal palace and set the palace on fire around him. So he died. Because of the sins he had committed, doing evil in the eyes of the Lord and following the ways of Jeroboam, and committing the same sin Jeroboam had caused Israel to commit. As for the other events of Zimri's reign and the rebellion he carried out, are they not written in the book of the annals of the king of Israel? Well, that was a short reign. Verse 21. Let's go to Omri. Then the people of Israel were split into 2 factions. This is the northern kingdom is split into 2 factions. Half supported Tibni, son of Ginneth, for king, and the other half supported Omri. But Omri's followers proved stronger than those of Tibni, son of Ginneth. So Tibni died, and Omri became king. In the 31st year of Asa, king of Judah, Omri became king of Israel. He reigned 12 years, 6 of them in Tirzah. He bought the hill of Samaria from Shemer for 2 talents of silver and built a city on the hill, calling it Samaria, after Shemer, the name of the former owner of the hill. But Omri did evil in the eyes of the Lord, surprise, surprise, and sinned more than all those before him. He followed completely the ways of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, committed the same sin Jeroboam had caused Israel to commit, so that they aroused the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, by their worthless idols. As for the other events of Omri's reign, what he did and all the things he achieved, are they not written in the book of the annals of the king of Israel? Omri rested with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria. And old sweet Ahab, his son, succeeded him as king. For in the 38th year of Asa, king of Judah, Ahab, son of Omri, became king of Israel, and he reigned in Samaria over Israel 22 years. Ahab, son of Omri, did more evil in the eyes of the Lord than any of those before him. He not only considered it trivial to commit the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, but he also married old Jezebel, daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, and began to serve Baal and worship him. He set up an altar for Baal in the temple of Baal that he built in Samaria. And Ahab also made an Asherah pole and did more to arouse the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, than all the kings of the Israel before him. In Ahab's time, Hiel of Bethel rebuilt Jericho. He laid its foundations at the cost of the firstborn son, Abiram, and he set up its gates at the cost of his youngest son, Segub. This is prophetic. This is interesting. In accordance with the word of the Lord spoken by Joshua, son of Nun. If you remember, when they tore down Jericho, Joshua gave this prophecy that the man that rebuilds it would come at the cost of his sons. And this prophecy was fulfilled hundreds and hundreds of years later. But not a word from God will fail. And God watches over his word to perform it. And I share that with you for this reason. If God has spoken something, it will come to pass. It might not come to pass in the timing we desire, but it comes to pass in the timing that God wills. We've gone through the history of many of the kings. We've gotten to Ahab. Jezebel's on the scene. It's about to get really exciting. I'm excited for chapter 17. Be blessed.